Previously on Tomorrow's End. Actually, this month there is no previously on. We had accidentally lost all of our audio from the last session. And luckily, a couple of the cast members decided to get together and do a impromptu get together and record some audio that will help fill in between Season 2, which starts next month, and Season 1, which we wrapped up 2 months ago. So please enjoy.
Welcome to Morrow's End, a live play podcast set in the Morrow Project universe. Episode 15, Campfire Reflections. Doc and Alex take time to get to know each other a bit better and contemplate the team's next moves after the rest of the team has retired for the evening.
Alright, Alex. I've been watching you over there.
That's not creepy at all.
It shouldn't be. We need to get to know one another, I think, a little bit better around these parts. We're working with one another. I'm not saying we have to hop in the sack.
Okay, I thought this was going for a second.
Not necessarily I'm opposed to that. Just making sure you're aware that that's not what we're looking for here.
Okay.
At least for me. See, I've been out this, wandering around here, and, you're the closest thing to home I've seen in 10 years. Let's say that, this group of folks we got here.
I get that.
Everybody went to sleep, you wake up, and, the world's a fucking mess. So let's talk about a couple of things that are kind of standing out in my mind. Is that fair?
Yeah.
What do you think of old Ashcan there?
I think he's the reason why so many people got burned at the stakes. I think
that's fascinating.
I'm seeing. I mean, this isn't personal to Ashcan as a person. Like, he is.
Fair enough.
He's the product of his environment.
Right.
It's seeing the total and utter fear and fire bad that
right.
kept people in the fucking caves until somebody was like, hey, maybe I could cook a steak with it, and everyone's like, oh, this guy's onto something. But instead, it's everyone's crept back into this superstitious shell, and we were getting ready to go to Mars. We developed cars that drove themselves. We were living in the fucking future. We were eradicating diseases. We were all of these accomplishments just suddenly done. Back to the Stone Ages, and everyone's going, well, let's put some hoodoo into all of these ruins we see and all of the variables around here, which it's just fucking maddening to be, I guess, time traveling, essentially, to back to the Stone Ages. And so, again, it's not about him and who he is as a person. It's about everything he represents in this new fucked up hellscape that we found ourselves in.
Well, fair enough. He is basically what we're going to run into from here on. He's not a dumb individual by any stretch. Very smart, especially of his world. I don't know. Maybe it's a little too much to, meet your ancestors, and they're more modern than you are, using things you don't understand. Yeah, we're gonna have to bring him along, I think. We're gonna have to give him some good instruction. I've been thinking, since how we got all this stuff to teach the locals the stuff. Books, learning, what have you.
I've got a grad student now. I always wanted one. It's a lot more disappointing than I anticipated.
Yeah. Fair enough. Why don't we see if we can't get him up to speed on a few things?
You think he's even willing?
I think he'd be willing, especially if it's coming from one specific individual instead of a bunch of us together. Like between me, you, Will, not to take away from Charlie there, but Charlie's want to dig around in his brain matter, and I don't know if that's really conducive for either one.
No, she's already crazy.
We gotta keep Poppy if she ever creeps back through here. I think the hell away from him. Anyway, I think that's about something we might want to look at, going forward.
All right.
So, we're on that subject. What do you think of these people at Beats?
I mean, they seem like fine folk. I don't know. I feel like I'm living in like a fucking modeled village, with a bunch of actors, and I just keep waiting for them to break character, and it just never happens.
Yeah, like going to the
Greenwich Village.
The Indian village with the Puritans or the Mayflower folk and what have you, and everybody's pretending like they're making popcorn from back in the day type thing.
Right? Yeah.
I'm glad. I've been watching them for a while, and I'm not necessarily against. They're just, they remind me of the folk that grew up a little further outside of town where I grew up. They weren't necessarily rednecks or shit kickers, but they're doing the farming. They're trying to find a way to, I guess, make it. And
just folk, as they say.
Yeah, just folk. I'm a little worried about these wolves.
I have a theory on that. All right.
So go with it. Talk to me.
Do you remember the first day we were at Beats and the gentleman in the oddly pressed suit, free of filth, came into town and offered his protection against the wolves? All right, that's classic mafia. That's classic,
absolutely.
Yeah. And so anybody who is in that kind of position has some sort of leverage to offer. That means that if the town of Beats were to give the men in the suits what they wanted, the wolves would leave them alone. Which leads me to believe that these wolves, which have some sort of higher sense of intelligence and, they seem to be very sturdy, as it were.
Right.
I wouldn't be surprised if the men in suits had some way, I don't know, some dog whistle that gets them to heal or something along those lines. But I think they're interconnected in some way.
Yeah, if I agree with you on that. There's more to that nonsense than meets the eye. Never never trust a guy in a seersucker.
I'm saying,
especially when he's offering you nothing for payment. I think that my theory on these wolves things is that there could have been some experimentations, I think, floating around these areas. I mean, they've been doing that for a long time, and I think some folks probably got desperate towards the end.
Took advantage of the radiation.
Took advantage of a lot of things. I mean, the whole idea, let's just say that when I went to sleep, we had almost half of the human genome mapped. Ready to...
Yeah, CRISPR. Oh, my God. They were doing some fucking mind-blowing thing. I'm so angry that technology is not around anemiore.
Well, I think that I wouldn't put it past Morrow to have a bag of tricks laying somewhere.
Oh, God, right?
I wouldn't put it past that.
Do you think that there are some places that Morrow succeeded? I mean, I've been approximately, 10 square miles from where I woke up. I mean...
Well, and I think that's something that we really haven't talked about. And we're going to be sipping beers over the campfire here. I think maybe that's something that you and I can kind of discuss here. So I know of other factions that are out there, but I've never heard yet of anything that says, yeah, this is the spot to run to. This is utopia. Let's go there. But maybe we're too far out.
It's not like there's radio communication.
And it's not like there's information to go, yeah, the sunny state of California is now, an island floating in the Pacific. There's nothing but paradise.
Right.
What about Texas?
Island. We could make that island paradise up in Mackinac. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It'd be a little cold in the winter, but, you know.
I'd love to have that as a nice little outpost if you want the truth of it, but hell, it just, during the winters around here, it just becomes accessible like highways.
Right.
But, no, I don't, there's between the Chicago and greater Detroit area, God, there's all these, people got all kinds of rumors. There's nothing exacting. And there's only one way to get that information, to actually make it there. And if Beats is, we're going to have to fight every damn step of the way to get there. That's going to be a long haul.
Yeah. And with that Striker, that kind of seems like it's going to be our entire journey.
Yeah, that strike vehicle is starting to. It's a sore thumb sticking out there. Handy. It's handy.
And any kind of alternative option I can think of tearing it down and trying to junk up a car, essentially,
right,
and even that would still make us a fucking target. And there's no way to be able to accomplish anything except at the speed of the fucking cavemen.
What if take this idea. What if 2 or 3 of us took some horses and took to the hills, made a point of going a direction, see how far we can get?
I mean, it's not a bad idea.
Just
our radios have enough distance that we'd be able to report at least a mile at a time.
Well, heck, I'm pretty sure that crazy guy could probably come up with something where he could at least track us, in which case form up some sort of map.
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be too hard to do or to bring up, especially between Will's communication and knowledge.
Right. It's an idea that, we go out for 5 days and come back, see what we can see. We go out a full day, and then we do a perimeter run.
And on horseback, we could probably make some distance. It's not a bad idea.
20 miles a day, it wouldn't be difficult to do.
We're still going to have to find ways to not make ourselves targets, but I think it's doable.
I think if it was Ashcan, he'd be able to at least get us on right trails.
Ah, fuck. I'm going to be left at home with the psychologist, aren't I?
I don't know. We could rig. I think we got some discussions we should probably have at some point about, how could we do that? Could we put up antennas or bounce radio waves off like a sonar to get a overall ground map of what surrounds everything?
We could do that, but I mean, the chances that the locals will just strip anything we put out there is pretty high. We might have a better chance cartography by hand. I mean, all right, I've got my ultimate ideal of bringing the fire age back to man, as it were. Of, I don't know, fucking putting together, research facilities again, getting together a power grid, bringing back the technology that we have all of the information for in these little useless tablets we're carrying around with us. We have the entire Library of Congress and a fuck ton of people who not only can't read but would have no inclination to read it and no knowledge of what to do with that information should we give it to them. So my less immediate goal, I don't know, find some place that already has that. If that's not something that, maybe people have been putting down. This, not everyone in Morrow would have been murdered mercilessly after coming out of their caves. I would hope not. Some of those tablets still might be floating around here. Some of that information, it can't have all disappeared, regardless of nuclear waste, regardless of an asteroid hit. And somebody's got to have been using it.
But who, other than me and you? Just let's look at this. How are we going to teach? How are we going to bring the fire? How are we going to bring the Neanderthal out of the cave?
Oh, that's kind of why I want to start somewhere where they already have them into the Bronze Age, and then I can just jump into there and start working on iron.
Is that? I mean, we're here in Beats. Then that's where we are.
Yeah. And I mean, I can think of. I've already got a dozen projects in my mind of upgrades that we can do around here. ideas of, I don't know, eventually putting together a mini power grid or, generator. Like, yeah, I've got the ideas for it. Fuck, if we scrap the striker, we could do some fucking astonishing things here. But then, Ashcan's right. We would make a fucking target of ourselves, especially whether or not there's civilization elsewhere. We know it's not in the immediate vicinity. And so it's going to cause Beats to stick out like a sore thumb. So then do you do subtle technology? Do you just, improve the lives of the people in Beats and hope the rumor doesn't spread too far and people don't come looking in suits with mutant wolves at their bay, Do we start, in trying to spread the improvement outside of Beats and start colonizing the whole state of Michigan? I don't know if 6 people are physically capable of that without having allies who are at either near or equal levels of technological advancement as we are. I just don't know if that's physically possible. So, I guess the option inevitably becomes, do we just stay in Beats and make Beats as good as we can until somebody eventually murders us and takes Beats? Or do we spread out and see if we find someone who has been keeping up with technology since everything happened, who has been trying to at least create a city, as it were? Whether it's in fucking St. Louis, New York, I don't know anymore. Than the rules of North Dakota. Who fucking knows at this point?
So, with all that you've said, why don't we head to a city, one that we know that's out there? Do we head south to the Grand Rapids area? Do we head towards Detroit? I'm asking that.
I think water, in general, is going to be connected with commerce. Just because with water, people who have moderate amounts of technology can create water wheels. They can create, aqueduct systems, anything else like that. And so I think, given that we're so rural now, finding areas that are going to have low instances of natural disasters, because we don't have the infrastructure to just fix that shit anymore. You're going to be looking for places that have water naturally occurring, that can be filtered, fresh water especially. I think Chicago would probably be a huge hub, given that it's at the bottom of Lake Michigan, given that it was such an industrial hub and it's not prone to natural disasters.
Well,
that would be my first bet.
All right. What we really need as part of the science team is we need a Mars team.
Holy fuck, do we need a Mars team? It's too bad we slaughtered all of Poppy's team, because they could have made a really fine substitute.
Yeah.
That somebody, hint, hint, God GM, didn't want that to happen.
Well, not to poke too much fun at that ugly bear, there is an idea that has occurred to me that we could give a shot and try. We have not sent out a rescue beacon to pull the Mars team back into us, or for that matter, for an ag team to hear us.
Shit, I hadn't even thought about that.
We know that the vehicle can do it. My fear, more than anything, is who answers it.
I was going to say, it's not something we want to do remotely around Beats.
Again, this is where this thing kind of goes. So let's say there's a Mars team that's out there that's still asleep. Let's say wherever the hell it is. Doesn't matter. Their bolt hole, wherever they're held up at, wherever they're in stasis, as soon as that beacon goes off, it'll wake them up and tell them right where we are. But let's say, like we had in a couple of these other, places we run into people where they found, caches. Let's say that somebody just didn't get that, and when they hear it, they figure out, i.e. Maxwell's militia, hell, it could be the Kentucky Free State.
Not to mention,
Snake Eater, it could be any of them that could hear it and come right to us. With that being said, that's either good or bad.
I guess my question is, would they even activate? I mean, at this point, we didn't activate. when we were supposed to. You didn't
Correct.
activate when you were. Nobody activated when
Correct.
they were supposed to.
Because I don't
30
think
years after the
because
war.
I don't think anybody did it the way it was supposed to go.
I'm wondering if when the asteroid hit, if it just knocked out any systems they had in place to automatically set these, like any kind of satellites, any kind of.
I honestly think that I'm going to tell you my own thoughts.
For a seer, he was sure shitty on some of the details. Is all I'm saying.
I think ultimately what happened to me and what basically eventually happened to you guys, nobody got the wake-up call initially. It never was received, which means it never went off.
Oh, so you're thinking that if we send off a Mars beacon, that's going to send the wake-up call to somebody?
To some others. Some others have been awakened. We know that. We ran into their, look at the church. There's a cache that was sitting in there, and we
Right
got the
here.
notebooks from there. Here
Fucking
yep.
Crazy Eddie or whatever his name was. Sorry, rest in peace. But
That's what I'm talking about. None of them really got the wake up. My team was completely dead. There's just a lot of things I think we could address if we we pop that beacon. Now, good.
not only that, do you still have your beacon from your team?
It's back at that. It's gone. But you guys have that. You have it. You have a rolling beacon right now.
No, what I was thinking was, I mean,
See, when those
feasibly speaking, we should have a record of where the different wake-up points from Morrow would be.
No, I don't think we'd have it that.
No?
I think ultimately what we'd have is a way to alert we need help.
But
Follow
we're
me?
thinking if we're able to find any other teams that haven't been woken up, and they also have their beacons to call their science team, their agri teams, and we're able to kind of set up a chain reaction of waking up Morrow people who are still sleeping.
Correct. You're thinking exactly what I'm thinking. We risk calling in all the ne'er-do-wells. But to be honest with you,
They're already here.
yeah,
I mean, we're going to
Who
call the
else is gonna
ne'er-do-wells
show
by
up?
sitting here.
correct.
And unlike some people on our team, sometimes risk has a reward at the end. Ashcan.
Oh, I'm not mentioning names.
Well, I did.
I know you did. What do you think about pulling up sticks and getting the hell out of here completely?
I like the idea if there is an accompanying plan, if you're going to repeal, replace, as it were, theoretically speaking.
How very teens of you.
Thank you.
The hell are we going to replace? What I mean, seriously.
No, I mean in terms of
Well, I'm
game
thinking.
plan. Like,
All right.
I like the idea if we, sit down, have a discussion, go, these are our top 3 cities to hit. We're going to go in this, that, and this order. Here is what our ultimate goal is. And I think if we have beats as a potential home base, of if we need to unload a bunch of shit that we've just started collecting and we want to, head someplace for trade, we need someplace to sit out for a while and repair all of our shit. We know that we at least have a friendly town. But that being said, I'm not comfortable leaving them without dealing with the wolf problem first. At this point, we are what's been keeping the town safe. I feel like pulling up and just leaving that dangling plot line hanging around is unfair to the people of
fair
Beats
enough,
who've
fair
been,
enough.
devoted to us, as it were.
Is it a problem, or are we the problem?
Now, they were having their wolf problem long before we showed up, though.
Nothing in comparison to what we showed up, however.
Granted. We definitely... But at the same time, I think that as soon as we pull away, that's going to signal to whoever is controlling the wolves or the
They
wolves
can slide
themselves,
right
should
on
they
in.
be. Exactly. Like,
Okay,
as
fair enough.
soon as we leave,
All right.
devastation.
Agreed. Huh.
I think we have to wrap up what's happening here, and then I would be comfortable leaving.
What do you want to wrap up here?
2 things. The well and the wolves. That's it.
So we get the well under control.
Mm-hmm.
We can move to the wolf issue.
Yeah. Or whatever issue we're able to deal with first.
The well issue.
Just We know these people are being poisoned.
Well,
you can't just up and leave without giving them a new water source.
And I think that's the hardest part is how screwed up is that water source.
If we're able to remove the source of radiation, are we able to fix the original well?
Again, in theory. But what if the source of the radiation is just a minor part? See, we're thinking it's one lumped object. What if it's an object that's
a striker?
Well, right. That it's, split up into a half a dozen other things. I mean, how much time are we going to spend excavating the trench?
Honestly, I like the original idea that we had a while back, and I fought for it, but apparently I was overridden, of just piping off from the well that's already existing and then just running a pipeline off of that well and for general drinking water. I mean, shut it off for when they need to pump water for the still, turn it back on again when, people need to get their water for the day. Boom. It's a 24-hour fix.
Well, I say we give it a shot and fix it in that fashion. However, if it fucks us,
we can put a time limit on it. I'm comfortable putting a time limit on it. How many people are in this town? 30? I don't know, remember.
How about this? We got the time to train them. I say this is our security force.
Our Mars team, as it were?
Uh-huh.
Are you planning on, in terms of bringing them back or creating a stronghold?
We move the whole fucking town. We
really?
go on the road.
Somebody's not going to let us do that if we try. Here's the thing, though. I mean, what motivation is a town that has its own thriving economy that's doing better, arguably, than any of the towns in the surrounding area?
I don't disagree.
It's going to be hard to find the motivation to get them to leave.
Well, I don't think that it's not necessarily a motivation. We have to motivate them to leave. They have to come down to, some honest to God, real facts of what's happening in the world.
That's the thing, though. Here's the thing. We woke up 10 years ago, but this has just been their world for 200 plus years.
What I'm saying is, if their water supply is so fucked, water supply is fucked, you can't do anything. The town's either going to die out or they're going to have to move.
I think we're making some assumptions, assuming the water supply is fucked.
But again, we
still have one well, though, that hasn't been contaminated. It's testing clear.
But again, let's just. I'm just trying to say, for the sake of argument, maybe this is an option we can attack. Maybe I want to say last resort, but maybe there are those people in this town. Maybe there are individuals who are ready to go, you know what? I'm tired of seeing waterhead babies. Tired of, third eyes growing out of my ear or what have you.
Look at all of our tubes. You too can have this if you come with us.
Right. And I think that might be, a pressure point for a few people.
I think you're probably right.
Not all.
No, that's going to be a lot of young men looking to go on their own spirit journey for the tribe, as it were.
Because guess what? They can't procreate here. The option of somebody being sterile because of, or even to the point where you're delivering mutant children.
Christ.
Yeah.
What was that movie? The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah. I lived that. Yeah, that was high school.
To Morrow's End is played with the Morrow Project version 4.0 game system, available from Timeline Ltd at www.timelineltd.com. We also use with permission the ambient sound collection from tabletopaudio.com. Check them out for a ton of ambient soundscapes for your tabletop RPG sessions. Until next time,